Sundays with Bruce? Oh, Bruce and we go out to dinner about 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah, well, hey, we both like tater tots with nacho cheese, right? Well. We have a punch card there. We're such good customers. It's like, yeah. All right, guys. Well, happy holidays. Good to have everybody back. Great. It was awesome. It was good just to hang out, kind of catch our breath. Obviously, it's been a eventful, couple months, so it was good just to kind of catch our breath and reset and spend some time with family and get your mind wrapped around, and getting excited to go to the Big 12. And actually, we're doing it.
You get a sense of excitement from the guys as they come back to get ready for this, what's ahead of them?
I think so. I think our guys came back in good spirits. I think this is my 26th year, coaching at this level. And, that first practice after Christmas break's never pretty, but once you kind of get through that, I think the guys are excited. They're excited about the opportunity that lays ahead. They're excited to have a fresh start.
Do you feel like the non-conference schedule showed you everything you needed to about this team?
Well, obviously we saw a lot. We saw a lot, and you saw some tough times, and you saw some good times. But I think so. I feel like it. But obviously, we know we're stepping into we're a deal where it's going to be 20 tough games in a row, and I just know this: there's no hesitation. We've been talking about this for a long time, and it's here. It's a little bit like Christmas Eve. When you're a little kid growing up, you're excited, and we're excited. Everybody, you're looking forward to something so long. You're right there. So it's Big 12 Eve for us, and we're fired up.
This is a question from one of my callers. When you put this roster together, did you have the mindset of the Big 12 or Arizona?
Both. Both, to be honest with you. But, I think if you looked at our past couple teams, I think we were built to play in any conference. And we're going to, recruiting and roster management's never easy. And, there's always, a lot of dominoes that happen. And to end up, that if you kind of reverse engineered and retold the story, you can kind of figure out how you ended up in certain spots, with a roster. And, I feel good. But, we always want to have a team that's physically capable of competing with anybody. And, hopefully a team that has enough depth to, whether it's absorb an injury or absorb foul trouble. And, and when obviously we love size, we love physicality, we like good athletes. So to me, that's high-level college basketball. And so we're going to, first and foremost, build a roster looking for some of those components. But, we understand that just the physical nature and then the defensive, kind of prowess of this conference, you have to be able to compete, and you have to be great defensively, and you're going to have to be able to compete physically. So, we tried to address those things when we built the roster.
Obviously, they're missing Frankie Collins. So what do they look like differently without him on the floor?
Well, they're TCU and Jamie Dixon, it's a program. It's not about a player. And, he's had so much success over a long career. And Jamie's one of the class acts in our business. And so, missing one player, I'm sure it sets him back. And obviously we know Frankie Collins is a good player. We've played against him every year I've been here. But Jamie, there's no tricks up his sleeve, but what it is just rock solid. They're a great defensive team. They got this big guy, number 8, and his ball screen defense is about as good as you're going to see. And his ability to get his hands on balls from, the way he guards ball screens and the deflections he gets from the 5 position, it's really impressive, and it really caught my attention. So, and then they're so sound. They do a great job of protecting the paint, and you beat somebody, there's another defender waiting for you. And, they're a team that he basically had to rebuild it from almost scratch. So it's just impressive to see how good defensively they are so early, and kind of their tenure with him. I'm sure they're a little bit like us. They feel like they're finding their way a little bit, have a lot of new pieces. But I think that they probably feel like they're their best days ahead, and they've been building to play in the conference just like we have. So, you got 2 teams that are going to be 0-0 that are looking to get off to a good start on a 20-game gauntlet.
Obviously, Conrad had a really good game last time out. What's the next step in his development to where he can be a guy that can be on the court for 20 minutes a night?
Well, I don't know about 20 minutes or, I'm not going to, what that would look like. But I think the next step is just him continuing to be consistently productive in the short stints that he gets. And, it's going to be my job to hopefully giving him those opportunities. And, obviously the better job he does with those opportunities, the more he'll earn. But, Conrad's somebody that I have confidence in. And he, like a lot of these guys, he's a younger player who's kind of finding his way. And, certainly he has some things to overcome on the court physically. But, I think when you think about his IQ and his heart, they're impressive. And I definitely want, IQ and heart to be in the DNA in our program. So, I'm hopeful to find him more and more opportunities.
Is there any update on Mo?
He's not going to be available. No definitive update. I think they're still trying to figure out, what the next steps are. But yeah, he's not going to be playing.
Is surgery a possibility?
I think a lot of things are on the table with that. I think that's what J Rock and the medical crew and his family and him Krivas are working through.
For the first half of the season, do you know who your leader is?
Yeah, we're still working on that. I think we have guys stepping up in that position. I think Caleb's, certainly trying to grow. I think JB, in his own way, he's a little bit more quiet, but I think he definitely has a voice with the guys. And then now I'm hopeful, as we get into conference play, some of our, veteran transfers can kind of step up in that role. But, as being, saying we have a definitive leader, we're probably not there yet. And last year, we had some guys that at this time, or even on day one, I could say, yeah, Pella, Keyshawn, Umar in his own way kind of were able to lead the team.
Could that be the case where you have a few, or is a leader necessary?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, leadership's huge, but leadership can come in a variety of ways. And, what leaders do is they can pull people together in tough times. They can help hold people accountable to a standard. And, whether that's effort or execution. And it's great when it can come from a voice within the team as opposed to just coming from the coaches, and so when you can have, your coaching and your coaching staff align with the leadership of your team, I mean, I think you're gonna find a group that's really in sync. And we're fighting for that. I don't think there's anybody on either side working against each other. And I think we just need to go out now, and I think the team has a good vibe around it right now. But now you got to go out and game day, and you got to build some game confidence, and that's what I'm hoping our next step is.
Fun, like after a really successful non-conference season, either here or Gonzaga, you came back after break and guys were maybe a little bit complacent. And is that maybe what you're talking about with some of is it sort of the opposite?
Well, I don't think we have any complacence, and we definitely don't have any reason to be complacent right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, to me, going back home for Christmas has always been so important just because it gives guys a breath. It forces a couple days off. It forces guys to kind of break the routine we've been doing for months. And it allows you to kind of refresh and reset a little bit. So, I don't know if I've ever, been around teams that have had a lot of complacency, because they've had success or head down because they've had failure. I think you always look at it as like, hey, it's a fresh start. We kind of you break your season up into little segments, and the Christmas break's a natural pause. So now let's get back to it.
Is there anything about TCU's defense that you've faced so far this year?
I mean, TCU's, it's not, they're not doing anything, that other teams aren't doing. They're executing it very well. They're doing a great job of protecting the paint. They always have, paint help. And like, I think the most unique thing about them defensively is just how good and how impactful their center is in his ball screen coverages. To me, that's what makes them really unique.
At the defensive end a few times, Tommy, in that last game, seemed to lose his man on occasion. What's the technique to make sure that he doesn't help too much and still?
I mean, I would have to see the exact scenarios you're talking about to speak to them. But listen, Caleb's somebody who I mean, maybe people have questioned his defense a little bit, and maybe early some of this year it wasn't where we would like it to be. But I think he's turning the corner there. I really do. I mean, I'm seeing less and less mistakes. And here's the deal: mistakes are going to happen. I mean, it's a game of mistakes, and limiting the mistakes and then responding to them ultimately probably determines a lot of the outcome of the game. So, if Caleb makes a mistake here and there, it doesn't mean he's playing bad defense, but, if you have a reputation for somebody who's not a great defender and you make a mistake, you're getting better, but you make one mistake, sometimes people hang on to that. And so, listen, I see a guy that's really giving effort there and trying, and I'm gonna stay on him and hold him accountable for it. But right now, I mean, the trend that I'm seeing is he's doing a better job holding himself accountable, and to me, that's the most important thing.
I've asked you about transition before a couple times. Is it more what they're doing to you, or what maybe what you're not able to do? Because it seems like they're dropping back and making sure that you don't get a lot of the transition.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, the last two teams we've played have pressed us a lot. UCLA pressed us a lot. So, I think that when it comes to transition offense, I think asserting your will is the most important thing, and testing their transition defense consistently over 40 minutes, like over and over and over again, and then being able to pick and choose your advantages and your opportunities is the most important thing. But I think our running game can continue to get better. I mean, I'm hopeful, that we're definitely not going to try to pull it back, but I think the thing that we have to do is just have a little bit more consistent effort, of like trying to assert our will in transition, and then if it's there, take advantage of it. If it's not, just get in our half-court offense, and that's nothing that we haven't been trying to do. And maybe some teams are trying to get more guys back on defense here and there, but all in all, I haven't necessarily, felt. Hey, you could talk about playing UCLA. UCLA's what happened in our game has happened in every one of their games. I mean, they're doing a great job defensively, and they're slowing the game down and shortening the possessions, and they've been really good in close games. I mean, that's it. So I wouldn't necessarily say, but that's who they are. So. We'll see how tomorrow's game's going. TCU, defensively, is one of the better defensive teams in the country. But transition offense, they're also one of the better transition offensive teams in the country. So, I'll be interested to see how the game comes out and how the flow feels.
With Faisar at the defensive end, he had the play where he had the block, he defended the perimeter, then he got the corner, then he came back to get the block. Can he be that type of all-around defensive guy?
He needs to be, and he can be, for sure. And Henry, has a lot of versatility and size, and he has, solid mobility. He just needs to really tap into giving maximum effort for longer stretches. And sometimes, when you have a guy that, his physical stature, it takes him a while to learn that, because they kind of, when you grow to be that big, obviously there's some awkward moments in your development and coordination and physical strength, and those things kind of have to align over time to give you, to be able to take advantage of your physical, gifts. And so, we're fighting for that right now with Henry to help him continue to, give more effort in certain areas on defense. And, I was on him today about it. And I think it's coming, and I think it'll come with a little bit more of some just experience and a little bit more of physical maturity.
Take away from getting to meet Snoop yesterday.
Great guy. He's a one of one. It was really cool. Obviously I grew up on that music, and so yeah. It was really cool that he came to Tucson. Obviously we Tucsonans that live here love this place, and it's great to be able to share it with others and kind of put it on the platform, and that's really cool. I didn't really get to see much of the bowl game, but I heard sounds like there was a great turnout, and anytime we can show Tucson off, especially in the winter, I think that's a great thing because this is a special place.
You mentioned their fast break. They had, or their transition offense. What do you see there? Because they were leading, I think, the country the last couple of years, a little bit off.
Yeah, it was interesting. We played them 4 years ago now in the NCAA tournament, a little bit, and then so obviously Jamie made a concerted effort to run more, and I just remember flipping on the TV because we didn't really play them the last couple of years, and just being impressed with the effort they gave running the floor. You see there was a plan how they ran the floor, how wide they were when they ran the floor. So obviously he's coached it really well and kind of made it a core piece of what they're doing, on offense.
Speaking of that, there's obviously nobody left who played from that game, but seemed like probably at that time was your first year. What do you remember about that game?
Remember it was a great game, and I remember that the game came down to a few offensive rebounds, I think kind of on free throws. I remember their big guy that's transferred to a few places now that was at Colorado last year, played he had a career game. I remember Ben Matherin was awesome. I remember Terry hit a huge three in the corner. You know, I remember Kerr gave a great effort trying to come back and play when I don't think people realized he probably had no business trying to play with that sprained ankle that he sprained in the Pac-12 tournament. So, you know, and I remember Christian Coloco played great. And I just remember it was a great game. And came down to a couple big plays down the stretch. Luckily, we were on the right side of it, and it's definitely an exciting time.
So, you know, obviously you're focused on them, but I'm just curious, like when you flip on the TV or anything you've seen or heard about other Big 12 teams, you know, what's your thoughts compared to maybe in October? Anything look different? Or?
I mean, I have watched some of the teams, and you know, you look at them and you're like, man, they're really good. Like, how are we going to score on them? I mean, that's right where your mind goes to some of these teams, and so now, hey, listen, you know, the prognosticating, all that stuff's done. It's time. Let's do this. We're excited. We're not going into this thing, you know, covering up or half-hearted. We're all in. We're fired up to be in the Big 12. It's here. We've been talking about this conference stuff for way too long. Let's play the games.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's it.